Hello students and welcome back to our English vocabulary video series. In this 11th word of the week video, we're going to be discussing the word contemplate. Contemplate. That is our word of the week, our featured video in this 11th video in our series. So we're going to dive into contemplate, give you the meaning, give you how to say it, how to pronunciate it, and also talk about some similar words, some example sentences, and the context of when and where you could use it. And obviously, this gentleman right here is contemplating while watching a beautiful sunrise, it looks like, in this left side of the video here, in this left corner. So that's kind of contemplating. When you're doing something like that, when you're deep in thought, that was what we mean by contemplate. And it's often in a natural setting. So my name is Ben with English from A to Z. And let's get started. So what is the definition of contemplate? We're going to talk about the type of word that it is, the meaning, and the context to consider using it in. Now, the word of the week is, again, contemplate. It's a verb, and it could be we contemplate, I contemplate, you contemplate. Could be a main verb, not really an auxiliary verb, but, well, for example, it could be an auxiliary verb, but it's usually a main verb. You go contemplate is an example of where it could be used as a secondary verb, or you need to contemplate, or you go contemplate, or you should contemplate. So it can be it's usually a main verb, but can be a second verb in the sentence. Now the subtext is here of how to pronunciate it, how to say it, how to it's three syllables, right? Contemplate. Now, the stress of the actual, where you're going to stress which syllable is usually contemplate. I say it like that, contemplate. The con is kind of, you hold it a little bit, or you say it more deeply. Contemplate. Contemplate sounds a little bit more British. Contemplate. Contemplate. I can't even do it very well. But some people put the emphasis on the contemplate or contemplate, and that's kind of more common in the vernacular I'm familiar with. But the stress can be on tum. But in my view, you really want to say contemplate instead of contemplate. So that is more common here, and the meaning of contemplate is to think deeply and intentionally about something. Not a quick thought, but a reflective, deliberate mental process where you weigh your options, possibilities, or the meaning of something. Could be anything. So you're thinking deeply, you're taking your time, you're deep in thought, basically, and you're thinking intentionally about something. Could be a number of things, but usually it's one thing in particular. And it's not a quick passing thought. We have thousands of thoughts a day in our lives, but you're really thinking something through. Could be a complex problem, could be something at work, could be something you're doing in your life, a mental task that's you have to really think deeply about. When I think of how I contemplate my writing, my videos, the work I do here at English from A to Z. So contemplate is a deliberate mental process where you're weighing options, possibilities, or general meaning. And the context to consider is it often is used in personal decisions, like I mentioned, about work or business or school, philosophical. Why am I pronouncing? Excuse me. Even I struggle with English words sometimes, guys. It's philosophical moments. Philosophy is the art of thinking deeply. And strategic planning as well about life or work, or emotional reflecting on time that touched you deeply or something that you're going through personally. So personal decisions, philosophical moments, strategic planning, or emotional reflection. That's the context you want to consider when you're like, well, how do I apply this English word? Well, that's how you'll use it, right? There's different scenarios, and we're going to dive into those right now. So sentence examples, scenarios, and similar words to contemplate. We're just going to give you a few because there's dozens of words in English related to thinking. Quick use scenarios and example sentences. Like I said, personal decisions. And these are our sentences with contemplate in a sentence, usually towards the beginning of a sentence. And we have it with different verbs, but like I said, contemplate is usually the main verb, not so much the auxiliary, although it can happen as well, but it's a little bit more rare. So personal decisions. I'm contemplating moving to Japan next year for a teaching job. Could be, it's a very big decision moving to a foreign country. Contemplating is you're thinking about it deeply. You're really not sure, but you will really want to think all your options through. Next, we have career choices. He contemplated, and then we have past tense with present progressive. He contemplated taking a new position at the sales company. So it's an active process that you're thinking of doing an action, but you haven't you contemplated it, but you're still in that you're still in that active mode of thinking, but you contemplated it. Maybe you're still contemplating it, so it can be past and present. So keep that in mind. He contemplated taking a new position at the sales company. We don't know if he did yet, but it's an active process. Relationships or relationship building. She contemplated, past tense, where her relationship was heading with him. And strategic think. So yeah, before I move on, she contemplated where her relationship was heading with him, right? So she hasn't ended the relationship. You think she did because it's past tense, but was heading with him. It doesn't mean it's over, but she's contemplating the future of the relationship. She's thinking deeply about it. Strategic thinking, we need time to contemplate the risk of this medical procedure. That's an important one when you're contemplating it or your doctor's contemplating it, the risk of a procedure, that's strategic thinking. You need to be thinking strategically about, is this a good surgery? Is this a good procedure? Is this the right doctor? So there are risks involved in anything in life, but strategically thinking is related to contemplating. And then life reflection, he sat quietly, contemplating the direction of his life as he reached middle age. So we all go through different stages of life. Sometimes we think about our past, our present, our future, as we do as people. So you're contemplating, you're thinking deeply about the direction of your life, where you're going, where you've been, where you're headed. Like I said, heading or headed. So thinking about just life deeply is part of reflecting. And that's one of our similar words to contemplate. Good segue there. So ponder. You can consider, you can reflect, and you can deliberate. And these are all related to contemplate. And you notice that deliberate or deliberate, whatever one works, deliberate or contemplate, they both end with the ate at the end. And that'll happen with certain verbs in English. And then ponder, ER, consider, ER, and then reflect. So these are all similar words you can use along with contemplate. So we're gaining 5 new, hopefully not too new, but new vocabulary words or ones to become more familiar with. They all have the same meaning. That's why I put them on this list. Now, question for you all at home, my audience, is what is something that you have contemplated recently? You don't have to go into specifics if it's personal or professional, but what is something that you have contemplated? It doesn't have to be that specific, but was it something you spent time thinking about, and how long? I should have wrote how long did you think about it, but you can give me a general. I think I contemplated my dog. I contemplated the future of my job. I contemplated my homework. It doesn't have to be that specific, but think about something you contemplate, you thought deeply about, and try to use it in a sentence. You can leave a comment, or you can send us an email at our English from A to Z email address, I should say, or on our website. You can leave a comment there. But what is something that you have contemplated recently? Let us know. Was it something that you spent time thinking about? Did you spend time thinking about it? A couple minutes? Because if you think about it just for a second or a couple seconds, it's not really contemplating. It has to be at least a few minutes, maybe more. Could be an hour, could be a day, could be more than that. Contemplating something takes time when it's more complex, like these scenarios I mentioned. So thank you all so much for watching. I really enjoyed doing this Word of the Week video on contemplate, a really good vocabulary word for you all to boost your English, your knowledge of the language. Especially, don't just say to think, but now you know, oh, I contemplate. You don't just think, but you ponder, you consider, you reflect, and you contemplate. Please check out our other great YouTube videos on our English from A to Z channel, from learning about slang expressions in English to analyzing tips, songs, poems, articles, and much more in our different series. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and also hit that subscribe button to follow us here on YouTube. If you have any questions or would like to follow our official newsletter, go to our website at www.englishfromatozcom/newsletter. Thanks again so much, and I'll see you all soon for another Word of the Week video. Take care now. Bye-bye.